we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke.
Yeah.
You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke. Everything woke. It's true. Everything woke turns to shit, okay? It's true.
Breaking news here on this Tuesday morning. According to multiple sources, Governor Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota here, picked to be Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
Okay, so the power brokers in the Democrat Party, the DNC leaders, the powers that be, the people who chose to install Kamala Harris as the presidential candidate, have just chosen their vice presidential candidate. So we're going to talk about who this guy is, Tim Walz. We're getting hit with info about him left and right. He's trending on social media, all over the news right now. Who the hell is Tim Walz? This Midwestern Democrat, this Minnesota Democrat coming out of nowhere, because the Democrats expected Sleepy Joe and lying-ass crazy Kamala. And it looks like we're going to have to deal with lying Kamala, who wasn't elected by the people. And Tim Walz? Who the hell is Tim Walz? So let's just talk about this guy's record, who he is, and possibly why the power brokers in the Democrat Party selected him to begin with. Because remember, Kamala didn't select him. The power brokers did. Now, it's often wise when selecting a VP, you look at, can this guy help me win an election? You look at the swing states. We got Minnesota, we got Nevada, we got Michigan, Pennsylvania. So this narrows down who you can select. You want to select a high-level politician from one of these states who can carry their state in the election, who kind of locks up one of the swing states for you. So that immediately narrowed down the search to about 7 states. Now, some of those states have Republican governors, so it narrowed it down even more. So that's why everybody was initially looking at Pennsylvania and Josh Shapiro. But the main reason why the Democrats picked him is because he's not Jewish. We had this leaked information coming out last week about Josh Shapiro, the Pennsylvania governor, being the vice presidential candidate. Everybody thought that it was him. Betting odds, everything was leaning towards him. So they leaked the information last weekend to test the waters. And they were saying, oh, no, we didn't want this information to get out. No, they did. What they were trying to do was test the reaction of their potential voters in November, because he's Jewish, and a lot of people, the pro-Palestine, ceasefire, now all of those people, they are strongly against Jewish people right now, especially Jewish politicians. And picking a VP candidate who's Jewish, like Josh Shapiro, who's pro-Israel, will really hurt Kamala Harris in November, because it would disenfranchise a lot of her far left-wing radical voters. So that's the number one reason why they decided not to go with him, because they tested the waters and the test revealed, hell no, don't go with Shapiro. Another reason is this guy's far left. They are running two far left-wing Democrats. But the difference here with Walz is you can paint lipstick on a pig, and that's exactly what they're going to try to do. So he was in the National Guard for over 20 years. So they're going to say, oh, he's a veteran. He was a school teacher. Oh, he likes football. You know, America, rah, football. He was a football coach. He's just a nice, cuddly old grandpa. Everybody loves him. So that's the picture they're going to try to paint. They're going to try to avoid the socialism talk, the trans the kids talk, the sanctuary city talk. And that's another thing. This guy is trying to make Minnesota a sanctuary state. I believe he was blocked by the Republicans in Minnesota. I'm not sure he was able to completely get Minnesota to be a sanctuary state. But what he has done is give driver's licenses for free to illegal immigrants.
It's done.
A packed room at the St. Paul Armory erupted after the governor's signature made driver's license for all the law of the land.
He gave health care, took taxpayer money, took it out their paycheck. You're in Minnesota every 2 weeks. They suck money out of your check. They gave it to illegal immigrants. Gave it to them for health care. Gave it to them for free college tuition in Minnesota. And you guys are still voting for this guy. But this is Tim Walz. This is the part of him that they don't want you to see. Also, let's take a look at this clip here.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute. There, that's better.
Now, let's take a look at these two flags side by side. We got the Somalian flag and the Minnesota flag. This guy took the old retro Minnesota state flag and replaced it with a Somalian flag because we know that a shit ton of Somalians live in Minnesota now, including Ilhan Omar, you know, the congressman who married her brother. So they're taking over the state, and it looks like Tim Walz has been indoctrinated by these people because he's trying to convert Minnesota to Somalia. What the hell is this about? And also, before we get into this article about him, let's look at one more video clip about his response to COVID-19.
I've just signed Executive Order 20-01, declaring a peacetime state of emergency for the state of Minnesota. We need to stop congregating. We're going to close the bars, we're going to close the restaurants, we're going to close the places where we gather. Several 100,000 of your neighbors were just laid off. An entire industry has been shut down in the face of this, all for the greater good.
The governor, with the power of the state constitution behind him, has issued 104 executive orders affecting everything from schools to restaurants and bars to churches to basically every facet of everyday life.
Democrats who control the House are moving in the opposite direction. Some are pushing to put a mask mandate in state law.
Hi ho the Dario, I wear a mask to school. It helps to keep me safe.
This man, just like these other liberals like Gavin Newsom and others, completely destroyed their own economy, destroyed their state, and tried to shift the blame to Donald Trump. Closed down the schools for years, tried to force the vaccine, these dumbass mask mandates, killed all types of businesses, killed grocery stores, bars, restaurants, completely crushed the industry, talking about they were doing the right thing. Either these people are completely evil or they're dumbasses. I think it's a combination of both. But this New York Post article is going to give us some more insight as to where he stands on some of the key issues that we're going to be voting on this November. A relative dark horse in Vice President Kamala Harris's Veep stakes, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was elected Tuesday to serve as the Veep's running mate for the Democrat presidential nomination. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they chose him because of his happy-go-lucky attitude. Who is Tim Walz? So, like I said, he served over 20 years, 24 years in the Army National Guard. Now, this is key because J.D. Vance was a Marine, right? So now J.D. Vance is going at a guy who's also a veteran. So they're thinking that this could neutralize every time J.D. Vance said, I was in the Marine Corps, simplify. Well, our guy, he did over 20 years in the National Guard. He's an Army veteran. So you can't say anything like that because we serve the country too. So that's one of the main issues right there. Starting his career teaching social studies, Walt 60 volunteered for John Kerry's presidential campaign in 2004. John Kerry, really? You see what I'm saying? This guy's a far-left radical. But look at the line before that. He's teaching social studies. So everybody loves the teachers, and that's the picture they're going to try to paint him at. He's a veteran. He's a teacher. Don't you love this guy? He's just such a cuddly, nice grandpa. Forget about all that far-left wing radical stuff. But I don't think they're going to be able to hide that. He ultimately served 6 terms in Congress, elected governor in 2018, so he spent a whole lot of time in a swamp before going back to his home state. Walz met his wife, Gwen Whipple, while teaching at Mankato. See, his wife's a teacher too. Mankato West High School in Minnesota, where they taught and are now governor coach football. He has spoken out about his wife's several-year journey with IVF. So this is another critical reason why I selected him, because the Republicans right now are infighting. Alabama Supreme Court passed that law against IVF, recognizing that even the laboratory fertilized eggs, the embryos, the unborn, are people. They are human beings. And a lot of Republicans disagree with this. Trump has not supported this. So there's a debate going on within the Republicans, but the Democrats are going to try to use this as a cudgel against the Republican Party and say that Trump is against IVF. All Republicans are against IVF. So the abortion issue, IVF, all of that, this is the strongest thing that the Democrat Party has When you look at all the polling, when you look at all of the issues, abortion, women's health, IVF, stuff like that, that has hurt the Republican Party. That hurt the Republican Party during the red wave. That hurt Trump back in 2020. And that's going to hurt the Republicans this go around too. So he's going to be able to play that card. Look, these hateful, evil Republicans, they're against women's health. My wife, we needed to have IVF to have our 2 children, which plays well with women's health care advocates as abortion IVF access has become top issues in the 2024 election following the overturning of Roe v. Wade in 2022. All right, so on the issues, where does this guy stand? So this guy is pro-LGBT, LMNOP, including transing the children. Walz has a legislative history of signing bills against conversion therapy, protecting access to abortion, and the LGBT, LMNOP community, key issues that Democrats are running on in 2024. Walz was a faculty advisor for the Gay Straight Alliance when he served as a social studies teacher in the 1990s and went on to run for Congress in 2006 to represent a largely rural district on a campaign pledge that included support for same-sex marriage. So he was one of the front runners early on, 1990s, 2006. This is way before Barack Obama and them pushed this SCOTUS thing with the same-sex marriage thing back in, 2012? So he was way ahead of the curve. He's been a far left-wing radical. During his second term as governor last year, he signed both a trans refuge measure and reproductive freedom defense, allowing adults and minors to receive sex reassignment surgeries, gender therapies, and abortions in Minnesota if their home state has criminalized any of those procedures. So he talked crap about South Dakota and some other neighboring states saying, look, these Republican states, they're evil. They don't want you to trans the kids. They don't want you to give chemicals and hormones to your little boys and girls. If you want to chop the penis off of your 11-year-old boy and you live in one of these far radical Republican states, just come on over to Minnesota and we can help you chop his penis off. We can chop the breasts off. We can give him a mastectomy to your teenage girl in the state of Minnesota if these hateful Republicans don't want you to do it. This is what this nutcase is up to. Oh, he's just a cuddly grandpa. Everybody loves him. Walz also banned so-called conversion therapy in his state for gay people while mandating Minnesota public schools stock girls' and boys' bathrooms with menstrual products. So you're in high school in Minnesota, you go to the boys' bathroom, you're going to see tampons? Wow. Okay. So Israel Hamas, this is a key issue for the Democrat Party. And like I said, this is one of the reasons why he was elected, because they couldn't go with Shapiro. He's a Jew. He's pro-Israel. On the Israel war with Hamas, a controversial issue inside the Democrat Party, Walz first condemned the October 7th attack on Israel. But after the uncommitted primary vote against President Biden was especially high in Minnesota over his stance supporting the Jewish state, Walz called protesters civilly engaged. You see that? So he was trying to toe the line with all those people who were bought and sold by AIPAC and say, oh yeah, Hamas bad, Israel good, Palestine bad. He was trying to go that route. Then he realized his state was filled with radicals who are extremely hateful against Israel, and also a lot of people who just want a ceasefire. A lot of people want peace. A lot of people want a two-state solution. He has a lot of Muslims, people who are against the Jews, or people who are just neutral to the Jews. There's a lot of those people in the state, and a lot of those people refuse to support Joe Biden. And that Democrat primary that they had, the rigged primary, when they had the Minnesota primary, a lot of them just said uncommitted, I'm not supporting Joe Biden. But that's a wash anyway, because the DNC decided that Joe Biden's not the guy. But he realized that he needs to change his stance. So he's not out there supporting Israel, not right now anyway, but AIPAC will be back at his office soon. Walz served during two key moments in Minnesota politics over the last period, the C-19 pandemic. And we just looked at a video of how dumb he was, how he crushed his own economy and then tried to blame Trump for it, how he followed Fauci to the bitter end like a dumbass. And also George Floyd. Now, we're not going to rehash that entire issue, but let's just take a look at this short clip of how things were going under his rule as governor during the Summer of Love.
Testimony from a Minneapolis police union official who says that the governor ordered cops to abandon that 3rd precinct during the spring's rioting.
I was in the command post. I heard it. I heard the governor say, give it up.
At 9:32,
Chief Arredondo calls the mayor to tell him they've lost control, can no longer maintain order in the city. And then at 10:13, Chief Arredondo, who's monitoring the scene from a couple blocks away, gets on the radio to announce defeat.
Get a citywide tone right now in our loss of the 3rd precinct.
The 3rd precinct has been compromised.
The mayor said I request a National Guard. Ooh, this is great. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks.
Climate policies, he's following Gavin Newsom on this. He's following California because California, they issued these mandates saying we're going to gradually phase out the sale of gas-powered vehicles. And by 2035, we're just going to be 100% EV in terms of sales. So a lot of states, including Minnesota, adopted those policies. The auto industry is trying to stop them. The Republican Party is trying to stop them. Biden won't get on board with it because he knows it's toxic. But they're going to crush industries by trying to mandate this stuff and quickly mandate it too. So basically the next 11 years in a state like Minnesota, states like California, they're going to be 100% EV. These mandates are not going to make a dent in what the Democrats are trying to do. Their grids are not adequate enough to handle it. They're going to cause blackouts and brownouts all over the place. Just a dumb policy. Overall dumb policy. I could make a whole video about that alone. So we just talked about this. We just looked at the video. Summer Love. Completely idiotic. Here he gave free lunch to all children, not just income-based, but all children. Okay, that's cool. And here he's trying to make college free for lower and middle income people in the state. And he's going to try to do this on the federal level too. They're going to try to mandate free college for everybody, which is also not a good idea. A lot of this stuff just helps bureaucrats get rich. Like the people in the college industry, they're just sucking up this money. Doesn't matter what happens to the students. They're just building up the faculties, the administrative staff. They're getting filthy rich. And that goes in a lot of other industries too, like the EV industry with those mandates. Certain people are getting rich as hell off of that, but it's not making a big difference at all. But this is who they selected, this far left-wing radical, happy grandpa, you know, the guy who wants to trans the kids. Oh, but he likes football. He's a veteran. Yeah, but he's giving taxpayer money to illegal immigrants. He's giving them free health care, free tuition, trying to give them jobs, all types of resources. Yeah, but he taught it in the high school. He wants socialism. This man is a communist. This man destroyed his own state with C-19. And just imagine this radical Democrat, this guy pairing up with Kamala Harris. You talk about a disaster. Once all of this stuff gets out, Kamala Harris, the honeymoon phase is over, and she selected this radical lunatic to be her VP, this ticket, yeah. Did they just hand the election over to Trump? Or do the Democrats have bigger plans to cheat? Because this ticket looks completely unelectable, led by a dumbass, paired up with a communist. But let me know what you guys think. Leave me your thoughts below, share the video. Thanks for watching.